And so when we tie that all together, I always think about J. Marion Sims, and he operated on enslaved women, in particular three, Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy. And J. Marion Sims is lauded as the father of gynecology. And while that can be true that some of his research has afforded us with things such as the speculum, we can also say it was true that he was experimenting on enslaved women and that the bodies of Black and brown women wasn't valued, right? And so he was one of the first people, or some of the first people or medical providers who documented that Black women could withstand X amount of pain. Now, while that story might not have been told to providers present day, I always think of it as something like a scar or a residue, an idea that that is true, that continues to get passed through to different providers, including providers of color. So even if you share the same identity as someone, doesn't necessarily mean that you would have a mindset and a concept about anti-Blackness, racism, or oppression because you've been ingrained in that same ideology as well. So a lot of things that we learn about ourselves was given to us. It's not something that we ourselves learn or really think about ourselves. So tying it back to racism as a way, this idea and this power dynamic has been embedded in systems of care for years, and then it shows up present day to Serena Williams giving birth, complaining of pain and discomfort, knowing her body, and even though she's Serena Williams, not being trusted enough to know what she's feeling in her body and having to demand to be seen and to get an ultrasound, which actually showed that she had a blood clot. Think about that from the early 1800s moving into 2020. That just seems unfathomable, but it's the reality of how racism still has a residue and thread and exists in our country and all over the world, right?
Absolutely. But like, similar to like a Ford F-150, for example, just because that type of car can probably take more of an impact in a car collision than a Mini Cooper, doesn't mean that you're just driving recklessly or just driving um, without any care in the world, driving down the highway. Same type of concept
Yep.
for, healthcare systems.